How you doing, man?
Thanks for coming on, bro.
No worries.
How you
Stoked.
been? What have you been up to this week?
This is probably like one of the busiest weeks of my life. I was like working, running some jobs of my own. Got a show on Thursday night playing drums, a show Friday night playing guitar, and a show on Sunday playing guitar. All three different bands. So I've had like band practice with each band and the shows all week. It's been full on. I'm stoked to be here and finally like Friday. Week's done.
Relaxing.
Yeah.
So what was consumed last night?
Yeah.
Texas and Breakthrough out at Ipswich.
Yeah.
And tonight,
Bad Habit
Crowbar
Records. Yeah.
with Siberian Hell Sounds.
Yep.
And then
On
tomorrow,
Sunday.
down at Vinny's Dive.
Yep, on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, sick.
That's Descent's playing that one. So yeah, all three of my bands
nice.
doing one of them.
Have you been down there yet to Vinny's?
No, but I've heard that. Like I got a friend down there who said it's like a pretty cool venue and it's like pretty new and people are taking interest, which is awesome.
I don't know the dude, the drunk promoter. Do you know him? Dan or something? I'm pretty sure he runs it.
Okay.
Or started it. So it was fine.
I saw like a video of maybe like Goon on the Rocks or someone playing there the other week.
Yeah.
And it looks like a big sort of narrow venue, but apparently this is the first sort of heavy show that they're putting on there.
Yeah,
Hopefully it goes pretty well. Turn up, everyone.
Be there.
Yeah.
So, where did it all start for you? You're obviously living in Brisbane now. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Brisbane. I've lived on the south side of Brisbane my whole life. Pretty deep rooted friendships and everything. Just like always been in Brisbane, know my way around.
Yeah.
Might move one day, but
Yeah. What about like areas in particular? Were you always like Carina, Camp Hill, or were you further?
I grew up, I went to Capalabas State School, and like my first bands were all sort of schoolmates from there, and later on in my 20s I moved up closer so it could be easier to go to shows and jam and stuff like that, but yeah, Redlands.
Yeah, right.
That was my scene.
Shire.
Yeah, the Redland Shire.
A few of my cousins live down there.
Yeah.
I think it's getting better.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I just
than
like,
it was.
I've kind of got there's a bit of a disconnect there now. I wouldn't have a clue like what young people are starting bands and stuff out there. I hope there is some, but yeah, I don't know anymore.
So, when like thinking back when you were a kid, what was your first memory of music? Like in the family home or at school, or what was your first like the band that you remember hearing?
That kind of made me clue onto music in general.
Just your first.
It would have just been like my dad playing older stuff around the house, like on a Saturday if he was doing something. Then he'd be. My parents were always playing like Dire Straits and Doobie Brothers and stuff like that. So always had like a very sort of rock background of music playing at home, and it was parents loved Santana and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
There's always very guitar orientated music being played, so like I think that was just an easy kind of I want to play guitar. Yeah.
Did either of you or like anyone in your close family play an instrument?
No, not at all.
Just listening to tunes.
Yeah, fans of music, but not musicians themselves as such.
Yeah, sick. What was your like? What would you call your first kind of band that had an impact on what you listen to now? Like whether it was heavy or rap or whatever. What was the?
I think like some of the first cassette tapes that I bought when I was maybe like 10 years old was actually I got 3 at once. There was one day it was like the ones that were in the top shelf at Crazy Clark's or like Silly Solly's or one of those places, and it was like Californication, Chili Peppers. I'm going to show my age here. Whatever the corn one is with like the cliff and the little girl running out.
Not
Follow the leader. Yep. And Take Your Skirt Off a Jacket and Blink-182. So it was like, that was the 3 there, and like once I eventually started playing guitar, by the time I was like 15 or something, I just learned a bunch of Chili Peppers songs, and that was my
roll. How did you get your first guitar?
A friend of mine, Daniel, started playing, and he got really good pretty quick, and I got jealous, so like I ended up just buying like a really cheap guitar and starting because he did. And then he gave up, and I just loved it, and I kept going. So
right.
It's,
did you get an acoustic first, or was it straight into electric?
No, just like a really cheap Stratocaster fake, kind of like, it's called like a Samick or something maybe. It was like $30 with a 15-watt amp. Super cheap, but I could play SpongeBob tune on it. I was stoked.
And
Still don't
colours
have an
you up.
acoustic to this day though. I should
Yeah.
probably get one.
Yeah, fully. Easy on the hands.
Yeah.
So, from like at that point, you were like 15. Were you doing music at school, or was there any kind of, or was it
No.
literally just doing it outside,
Yeah,
listening to tunes, trying to play?
I didn't do music at school at all, and like I can't read music. If you asked me to play like a particular note, I
Scale
probably wouldn't know the chord. I just taught myself
Yeah,
by
right.
looking up tabs. I got a guitar off a friend and just looked up tabs of songs that I liked.
Okay.
So like, there's a Placebo song, that sounds cool, learn how to play that. And
Yeah.
then like, eventually Queens of the Stone Age and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, just whatever I liked, that's what was the motivation to play guitar. It wasn't
Okay.
necessarily like, oh, I've got to learn all these chords and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just, Little Sister, that's a cool song. I'm gonna learn that. And then like, I guess what you learn from learning that song is that's your lesson for the week.
Yeah, it's like a progression. Has that changed at all? Like, did you get to a point, or have you got to a point where you're like, I want to go and, like, I want to do some scales, or I want to try and upskill, as opposed, like, just methodology-wise, do you still just see a song and think, oh, I'll go on YouTube and learn how to play that?
Yeah, every now and again I'll hear something and it's like new to my ears, and I'll just be curious of how they played that, or like what tuning they're in or something, and I'll have to look it up and learn it. Nowadays, like, I really just pick my guitar up and whatever comes out is the music I'm playing. It's not like trying to copy anyone or learn anyone else's songs or anything like that. It's probably a bit ignorant of me not to have like actually learnt the theory behind everything, but I know I've gotten enough enjoyment out of it so far without doing
fully.
that. So
Oh, I think it's only necessity, or if you get bored,
Yeah.
I think if you got bored with what you were doing, or you felt like there's a cap on my skills, then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, what can I do to get better? But if you
Might-
don't feel like that, then
I reached a point where I could tell, like, I can hear a bad note. I can hear when something's wrong. If there's two notes that don't match together, I know what's right and wrong in my ear. I just trust that.
yeah.
Yeah, might not be able to tell you what note it is, but
No, man, that's probably, there'd be a lot of people that would kill for that.
yeah, it took a while, but it's
don't
very
have
handy
that.
for recording. Yeah.
Yeah, stick. So going back, high school days, who was influencing what you were listening to?
Early high school, I was skateboarding from the ages of like 10 to still now. Like, I love skateboarding, and that influenced music for me a lot. Like, heaps of bands that were just in skate videos had like a massive influence in me.
Yeah.
Like even Tony Hawk's.
Yeah,
Like, there was this
true.
song by Fu Manchu called Evil Eye on Tony
Yeah.
Hawk's, and like I just
I
loved
think I
that song.
remember it.
And like eventually one day I picked up a guitar and learned it. But high school was very hip hop orientated. Skateboarding was like a lot of hip hop. There's a lot of 90s hip hop just in the headphones every day and stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was probably like 17 or 18 that I actually got into heavy music.
Okay.
Yeah. The sort of the end of high school started like a rock band, and then outside of high school, that's when we were like, all right, I think we want to play hardcore.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
right. So those dudes that you started that band with at school, how
Yeah.
did you meet them? Just through skating, or was it? How did you decide that you were going to get together and play some?
We all went to school together. The first band was like very much. I knew Mitch, the drummer, since we were playing like under 12s baseball together. The other guitarist Rowan him and I went to primary school together, and it was just like starting a band with your friends. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, we've got to find a sick drummer and a guitarist. It was like, hey man, let's start a band. Yeah.
Really.
But I'm still great friends with all those dudes, and like it's only now that I've sort of started bands with people purely because of their music taste and all the other relevant factors. But the first band was just all the close mates that were there at the time that was like, do you want to play bass? Sure.
Let's have a crack.
Yeah, you'll be right. You'll learn it. You'll pick
What
it up.
we doing? Just covers? Were we doing your own stuff?
See, we had an original band like in high school that was just playing whatever we worked out while we were jamming, or whatever we were trying to rip off at the time.
Yeah.
Maybe a Bob Dylan riff or a Led Zeppelin riff or something like that. And we just like
So just rock.
we just
straight up.
jam. And then that was called Ether. And then later on it kind of just became like, all right, let's just tune down and try and play riffs that sound heavy, and like, you know, you learn Parkway Drive covers and stuff like that, and eventually you work it out, yeah. Yeah, and it was all just deciphering it for myself, just learning other people's songs and going, all right, what makes a difference between a normal song and a hardcore song, and yeah, lots of chugs and drop tuning apparently.
Yeah, palm mute.
Yeah.
When did you play your first show? Say not a school concert, just like out in a venue.
Would have been,
or a skate park. Or
we had a band called Oliver's Gun, and we played at the Step In just up the road, which is now it's now become Netherworld.
Yeah. Downstairs or up?
Downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that would have been in 2001, so I was maybe like 20 or 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was our first like hardcore band. Yeah. It was a kind of a misguided experience, because you're like, your first band is a big deal to all your friends and that sort of thing. So like heaps of people come, and then once you get out there and start playing gigs in the real world, you realise it's not always like that. No one's going to crowd surf the first show just because it's all your mates. But
yeah,
that was a good time. That was a good night.
Were they schoolmates, that band, or what were you doing?
Yeah, they were all just sort of schoolmates, and a friend of ours, Liam, was singing. It was just, very hardcore, kind of just like whatever we had going on at the time. Yeah, I think we were listening to like a lot of that band Gallows.
Yeah,
do you remember them?
From the UK.
Yeah, yeah.
That album was sick, actually. That first album.
Took a bit of influence from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, how long did you guys last? How many shows did you play?
Maybe 7 or 8. I think it was a pretty decent run. We had like an EP, and then that band fizzled out, and we started another one called Direwolf.
Yeah, I remember.
Same drummer and our friend Rowan.
Yeah. I saw you guys at Crowbar actually. Maybe towards the back end.
Yeah, yeah.
How long would Direwolf have band for?
I think that would have lasted maybe like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
That was a really good learning experience. That band was sort of like, did our first tour, like booking our first shows, like actually getting involved in the scene ourselves and that. We were pretty young, so we had like a super keen DIY attitude towards everything, and we'd like put on house shows at our jam space, and that band was really fun. Just like doing everything with your mates and just having a crack. Not necessarily being like, oh, we got to do this EP and then put it out and go on tour. It was just like, let's put on a house show.
Do whatever, yeah. What kinds of bands were kicking around in Brizzy when you were playing shows with Dive, like say in the first 2 or 3 years?
There was a band called Dirty Charlie we used to play with.
Yeah.
The Passenger.
Yeah.
Acid Snake.
Yeah.
And then we started doing the loop with like the Destroy Lines, like Thriller, Snitch shows and stuff like that, and played with heaps of hardcore bands, and I think we opened for First Blood one time maybe.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Played a bunch of shows with like A Breach of Silence and Aversion's Crown, like metal bands and stuff, because they used to do a pretty good mix bill.
Yeah. Cool.
And we had some mates in Newcastle that had a band called Eris.
Yeah.
It's like HEIRESS.
Okay.
And went down and played some shows with them, and they came up here and we did a little tour. Yeah. Made some good friends over that whole experience.
Man. Did that crew, did you cycle through members at all, or was it just the same dudes
There was
the whole time?
The ever-evolving, rotating bass player.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But the rest of us all stayed the same. I think we had a second singer join later on in the scene, but that was just like one friend to the next. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, we're going to kick you out of the band or anything. It was just like, I'm moving away, and it was like, all right, you're next in line,
and you
bro.
weren't like advertising or anything? It was just like...
No, that was a conscious choice to always keep it in the family with that band. It was an eclectic group of friends that just, it was more important to have like a mate there than it was a good bass player. Such, someone you can have a laugh with.
That's why you had 10 of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened towards the end? How did it finish?
We recorded an EP, and then our drummer decided to move to Canada for a couple of years, so we took a break, and then I still released the EP, and then in the meantime, while he was away, I started Descent, and got super involved with that, and it sort of kicked off pretty hard, and we've been going strong ever since with that. And the other band was sort of like, it's always there if he wants to start it up again, but
Yeah, fully.
yeah, I'm not too stressed out about it. I was pretty happy with how far we got and all the things that we did. It wasn't like oh, screw you guys, I'm pissing off going to Canada.
No.
It was just like, we had a good run.
Just life.
Yeah, I think like we played with Norma Jean and opened for Prom Queen and stuff a couple times.
Yeah.
Played some cool shows, so
Yeah,
I was
sick.
happy.
Tell me the Descent story, because I think you and we had a beer at Hardcore, and Ant was there, and then
Yeah.
you told me that you and Ant had known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Did that have anything to do with it starting, or was there
Yeah.
other?
So I've known Ant through skateboarding and various other Redlands Shire type things.
Activities.
Yeah, for a long time, and we'd always go out skating together, and he was, obviously he's played in bands before. He was
From These Wounds.
yeah. And he's done a bunch of other bands and stuff, and we'd always talked about it, like, you know, we'll do a band together one day. And so when we go out on our skate missions, he'd be showing me bands like, oh, have you heard this? Have you heard Dissection? Have you heard Dismember? And all these sort of bands. And when it got to a point where I was like, I didn't have anything going on with Direwolf and had the time for it, we just sort of went, all right, let's do this band. And we like narrowed it down to, we had a lot of conversations about what it would actually be.
Yeah.
Narrowed it down to like a direction we both agreed on, and we're happy to see through for the whole sort of like period of the band, instead of just being like, let's see what comes out. We actually like aimed to be like, this is sort of what we're going for.
Yeah.
And we talked to Nick McEwen, because he played in The Fevered, and Ant had played in that band for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And we sort of said
So
like,
Nick plays guitar.
he used to, yeah. He started the band with us, and we sort of asked him like, who could we get to play drums, and he was like, this Kingsley guy from Scumguts.
Yeah.
We invited him along to have a jam, and like we all just clicked straight away. We'd sort of like, oh, everyone learn this like nail song, and we'll try and play it at the jam, and it just like, it worked straight away.
Really?
We could feel it in the room. We're like, this is going to be something cool.
Yeah.
And then,
What were Scumguts doing? Were they just, because they're pretty
yeah, they're
cruisy, eh?
a little bit inactive now,
Yeah.
but at the time they were still playing shows, and he was doing 2 band practices a week,
Okay.
bouncing it all. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say Scumguts is over, but like they haven't done anything for a little while. I hope they do. I hope you guys get it together and fucking play some more shows. It'd be sick. But yeah. Then I happened to be working at a skate shop, and a friend of mine, Jim, ended up working at the skate shop, and we got on the topic of like playing in bands and stuff. And I knew he was into metal. I knew he had good taste in music, so it was kind of like, he just straight away was like, I play guitar, but I could also play bass. And then like, it's like, all right, come have a jam. And within 10 minutes, we were like, all right, you're in. It was just a good connection.
What bands had he played in before?
He was in some hardcore bands down the coast, like Nights Like These,
Okay.
and a couple others, but I can't remember the names. Sorry, Jim. Yeah.
Would that have,
yeah.
So would this have been around 2016?
That would have been 2014.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Earlier.
So end of 2014, we kind of rounded everyone up, and then we spent 2015 writing a demo and working out all the kinks and getting it sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that writing process work? Do you go in with riffs? Had you like been sitting on stuff, or was it more, let's just get in a room, play a riff, see where it goes?
There's a lot of trial and
Things just
error in
go.
the beginning, yeah. We sort of had like rough riff ideas, and then sort of like which direction to take those ideas was the main focus of the first few jams. It was sort of like, all right, we could easily just push it in a Swedish death metal kind of vibe,
Yeah.
or we can go a little bit more hardcore direction, and like everyone sort of brought their own little characteristic to the table. Kingsley played in the grind band, so like obviously blast beats were in the mix before we knew it.
Yeah.
We're not mad about that though.
No. That's what I reckon. Your first release was fast and energetic, and like there's no. It's a balance, eh? Like when you the nail stuff and that Full of Hell, like it sounds sick when there's like just a riff in there, but I reckon you could kind of tell, well, from my perception, that first Descent release, like I think you were trying to
Yeah, that was a
Stick it
big.
out.
It was like, let's do the grindy bits, but let's also just like drive the riff home kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just fun.
Fully.
Yeah.
So from there, spent a year trying to get your shit together.
Yeah,
and then-
we played our first show here, like a year later or something, and
do you remember who that was with?
yeah, I think we opened, and then we had Siberian Hell Sounds, Fuck Mountain, like
Yeah.
FVK or
Yeah.
VCK,
Yeah.
and there was one other bit, Brazen Bull.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
yeah, we played a lot of shows with Brazen Bull in the early days. Yeah, those guys are cool.
How'd you hook that up?
I just kind of booked it. It was like, you know, we want the first show to be special, but not too special or anything. So I booked the show and made sure we played first, and it was all very kind of like earn your way to playing up the bill sort of thing. We're not just
Yeah,
going to be
fully.
like, yeah. And it was on like a Thursday night, so it was kind of cool. It was
Yeah,
good to
true.
finally like have spent all this time thinking about doing a band, eventually finding all the right people,
Yeah.
putting the ideas together, and then like, yeah, that was a special night. It was good.
Had you released tracks previous to that?
I think we released it the day of the show.
Did you?
So it was just like, no one had any idea what the band sounded like. It was just, yeah,
Here it is.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know, we got a good response from that one night, and then
Yeah.
we've been pretty motivated ever since.
Yeah, fully. Do you remember when was that first show?
The 26th of November 2015.
Right, exact.
Yeah.
So what's happened since then? Key moment wise? Any member changes?
Yeah, Nick left the band. We decided to write an album, and Nick contributed a whole bunch of awesome riffs, and then pretty much said like, I'm too busy, guys. I got heaps going on, and like it was very amicable. There's no arguments. It was just like he wanted some time to focus
Just
on other
life,
things.
or is he doing other music stuff?
He still plays in Lizard Wizard.
Yeah, okay.
They're still killing it. But yeah, he had a bunch of other stuff going on. He got married, so we had Josh used to play in Coffin Birth.
Yeah.
He joined, and by that point we'd already had the album written, so he came on board and learnt all the songs and recorded the album with us, and that was this year.
Yeah.
So there was a pretty big gap there. We were sort of just playing shows and doing as much as we could.
How did you decide who you were going to record with?
For the album, it was that was a tough one. It was sort of like initially we'd heard that Nails was coming to Australia, and we tried to G up Taylor to come and record with us in Brisbane.
Yeah.
But his schedule got real busy, and he wasn't able to fit that in. So he still mixed the record, and I ended up just recording everything.
Yeah.
We had Mark Perry come and help us engineer the drums at Red Engine Studios.
Okay.
And
Did you do all guitars, vocals at your place?
yeah, I just recorded all that at my home studio, and once it was all put together and nicely sounding like an album, then that's when we sent it off to Taylor to get the final mix, and yeah, it turned out sweet.
Did he mix and master?
No, he mixed it, and we sent it to Brad Boatwright for the
sick.
mastering.
How long
Yeah.
did it take you to do all the tracking?
I took a couple weeks off work to do it, so it was sort of like 2 days for the drums,
Okay.
and then I had about a week of recording guitars and bass at my house. Everything was sort of done within a couple weeks, and then the vocals we did over a few weekends to make sure we really got like every different pitch scream sounding perfect. And then the whole process maybe took about 3 months.
Okay.
But earlier in the year, we'd been asked to come and play a bunch of shows in Japan. So we knew we were going to Japan on the 10th of September, and we wanted to put the record out before then, so it was kind of like,
Bit of pressure.
let's get it tracked, let's get it out, and that made things difficult, but it all worked out in the end. It was like a little bit stressful trying to find like someone to help us put it out, someone to help us promote it and all the rest,
Yeah.
as well as like make sure we're ready with all our merch and everything and go on the tour. But yeah, it was a stressful couple months there. Actually, putting an album out yourself is just like,
Oh man.
it's a nightmare.
Huge. So you've got like heaps of other stuff going on as well. So outside of Descent, doing Consumed, and there's like a solo Snorlax where you play everything.
So
Is that right?
yeah, Snorlax is like another project that I had a whole bunch of songs written for, and they didn't really suit Siberian Hell Sounds. They didn't really suit Descent, but I still wanted to use them, and like I recorded them not really knowing what I was going to do, and then one day I just thought, I really like Leviathan and the way he sort of does it all like totally himself.
Yeah.
And I'd been listening to heaps of black metal and stuff, and I just thought, I'm just gonna do a one-man black metal thing.
Yeah.
And I just gave it like a really kind of like tongue-in-cheek, stupid name, get people's attention.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anything of it. I just put it on the internet, and like a bunch of people said they really loved it. So I was pretty stoked on that. It was like, it wasn't meant to be anything. It was just really for myself.
Yeah.
Because I did the vocals and I'd never done that before.
Like a bedroom project.
And the response has been really sweet for that. So I've already started working on the next one.
Have you?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know when it'll be out, but it's in the works.
What's the Consume story?
So Siberian needed to take a little break because Perry was having a kid, and he was doing an electrical engineering degree, and like had a whole bunch of stuff going on. And he pretty much said, like, guys, I need to take a little break. And we'd sort of joked about making a side project, and like we'd sort of started things here and there, but that was when we were like, all right. And I'd started playing drums maybe a year and a half before that.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like I was feeling confident enough at that point to be like, yeah, all right, I'll play drums, let's do a side project. And it ended up like we wrote a whole EP in like 6 weeks or something and recorded it, and it all came together really quick because we'd worked together. And like I work with the singer Matt.
Yeah.
Dan lives like 5 minutes around the corner from me, and the bass player Mitch is a good friend of ours. He has a band called Travels.
Yeah.
And like we've known him for years, and he's like very proficient on his instrument, so it wasn't difficult at all. It just sort of like, within a month's worth of like jamming, we sort of had like the structure of an EP, and so we've only just played our second show last night.
Fully.
It's very fresh, and it's still scary for me playing drums on stage in front of people, but it's really fun. It's playing drums is super addictive, man. I remember I was talking to you around the time I was looking at buying a kit and everything. And I wasn't sure even at that point if I was going to stick it out. I thought, I'll give it a crack, and if I suck, then at least I have a good drum kit to record other people. But no, totally hooked on it.
Yeah,
it's fun as.
Man, I appreciate your time, mate.
I'm stoked.
Have a good night.
Cheers,
Thanks
man.
for the story.
All good.